Hey guys, Basil here, also known as Living the Anchor Life, and I decided that I wanted to create a unique video for you guys on a watch that kind of has piqued my interest. So, welcome to my channel here. I'll be starting to do some videos occasionally on some unique things within watch releases, things in the industry, trends that are happening, so on and so forth. Now, today, I'd love to talk to you guys about the Heuer and TAG Heuer Seafarer collection. Starting in 1950, the Sol Lunar was born. Now, this particular watch was commissioned by Abercrombie, which at the time was an outfitter for the outdoorsman. And Jack Heuer, who was a young watchmaker who worked for them, was commissioned to create something for their demographic and their consumers to be able to use a very utilitarian watch. Now, that particular watch was born, and in that, it actually had a tide indicator, which actually told a fisherman or a seaman of when high tide to low tide would be. The way that this would be kept track of is you would actually set the tide indicator to when the full moon was happening. And from there, as long as the watch was wound, even to this day, you would be able to tell high tide to low tide. After that, the Mariograph was born shortly thereafter, about in the 1960s, moving on to the Seafarer collection, which took place from the 60s going into the 70s. And then, of course, finally, we have the Sol Lunograph, which took place around 1968, going further into the mid-70s. Now, over time, as you see, the cases have changed, the case sizes have changed, and even the graduation of aesthetics. Now, talking about the watch today, I'd love to introduce the new release from TAG Heuer with Hodinkee on their execution of the Seafarer. Now, this is a limited edition watch with 968 pieces that have been created. Now, with this particular watch, it comes in a robust 42mm stainless steel case and has TAG Heuer Carrera on the dial. It creates that modern blend with the vintage classic. It strikes a perfect balance of wearability and making it very versatile for any occasion. So let's start off with the dial. It is a very easy to read, legible dial that actually indicates two different colored subdials, as you see in the watch I have over back here too. Now, with the particular subdials, you have the left subdial, which is the tide indicator subdial on this watch. And this particular indicator is actually set by the tide button on the left, which is in a ovular shape marked for tide. Now, with this particular watch, on the dial, you'll find not one, not two, but three subdials, which are housed with the chronograph function. And these subdials are used in the intervals in the positions of interchanging to maintain the watch's balance and clean aesthetic style. Now, of course, you have luminous markers on this. You've got polished hands, and of course, you have the polished stick markers around the dial for each hour as well. Now, of course, more than anything else, comfort is key when it comes to this, and TAG Heuer nailed it with this piece. The watch is fitted with a high-quality rubber strap, which not only feels great on the wrist, but also it adds a sporty look to the Carrera chronograph. Plus, it is water-resistant up to 100 meters, and as it is practical, it is also very, very stylish. Turning over the watch, we see a transparent back that showcases the intricate automatic movement on the inside with the display. This also has an open case back, which is a very nice touch, showing you the appreciation and craftsmanship of the timepiece. Looking at this particular watch, if you look at it, it not only has high performance with a very precision movement, but also the chronograph function and the tide function, which may or may not even be utilized today, but it's this mere aesthetic that is for the Seafarer collection that makes it so beautiful. So if you're in the market for a luxury watch that combines both elegance and a sporty edge, the TAG Heuer Carrera chronograph 42mm might be the watch that you're looking for. It's a stunning piece and it turns heads and will stand the test of time. I've had the pleasure of actually seeing this watch in person 2 times, and overall, I'm pretty pleased with the aesthetics. Now, with my final thoughts on it, being a vintage guy, of course, the desire was to go for proportions of a size of 40mm, which would have been ideal. The other thing was on the dial, where it does read TAG Heuer. As a purist of vintage, on a proper reissue, it would have been nice to have just Heuer subtly on the dial. And then lastly, the piece that bothers me the most about this watch is the tide pusher. The traditional tide pusher was done just like a chronograph pusher would be. However, this was done in a ovular rectangular shape labeled as tide. And to me, it took away from the aesthetic of it all. But again, a reissue should never be a one-for-one copy. It is a new interpretation at a very classic design. But needless to say, it's a very, very exciting watch. I think TAG Heuer is doing some really amazing things, and I hope you get a chance to check it out. But I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. So please comment down below, and I'm looking forward to sharing more stories with you guys soon.